next thing I'm going to do is take my palette and I'm going to take my mixed black and I'm going to take three different yellows into that mixed black and make some greens. So the lemon with the mixed black makes a really usable green. I'm going to look at it. I'll take that Indian yellow with the mixed black. That's going to make another usable green. Look at the difference in these two greens. The mixed black is the same. It's the yellow that shifts. You see the two different colors here? At the same time I'm doing that, I'm going to take a little bit of my blue and a little bit of my yellow and make a real green. And I want to use as little of this real green as I can because our retina has the most capacity to see green. So I don't need much. So we're going to see green wherever it is. So because we have the biggest capacity to see it. So my job is to take colors that have the least amount of green in them and set up the scenario so that we can take this muddy brown, which in this context, against the reds it looks green, against the yellows it's brown. And so I'm going to take this brown and make it look green. I'm going to take this mustard and make it look green. And I'm doing that because I'm going to have a little bit of real green. And it's the least amount of that green. So the first thing I'm going to do is going to mix up a kind of a yellowy mustard. The next thing I'm going to do is green. And the next thing I'm going to do is mix up a browner, oranger green. There we go. Now we're talking. And then I've got this as my little kicker to help understand what's happening. So I'm going to start with my mixed black and a little bit of liquid, just a touch, so it's easier to, so you can see how little I'm putting in, so it's easier to push. And the first thing I'm doing is I'm going to take the same brush and I'm going to take the dark and I'm going to put, instead of like I did before where I'm loading the paint up this way, this time I'm pulling it and I have a big hunk of paint along the front tip, quarter-inch of that brush. And I'm going to push the shape of the foliage in. So each one of these branches is going to support a bit of foliage. And I'm pushing that into shape. And I'm going to try to push it from the bottom left to the top right. This comes across, and I'm just looking at each of these masses, scoop it up, and I'm going to push it in to form the appropriate shape for the branch that holds it. And if it looks like I'm doing this, I'm not scrubbing it, I'm pushing it, reloading, pushing and reloading. Are you with me? So it looks like I'm going back and forth, but I'm really just pushing, reloading, pushing, reloading, pushing, reloading. So I get this shape. And I want this to be interesting and believable according to the mass of the tree that I've created. So that's the first thing I'll do is I'll push with my mixed black, with my darkest dark. I'll come back on top of that with the next darkest color, and I'll put a little more liquid. This time it's resin gel. And if I push this way, I'm going to pull this on top. And what I've done is if this is the weave of the canvas, by pushing it in, I'm catching one edge of that weave. By pulling it in the other direction, I'm catching the other edge of the weave. So I'm not mixing these colors. Are you with me? And this is how you work wet paint against wet paint. So the first time through, I'm pushing it to catch the right side, the right bottom of the weave. By pulling it in the opposite direction, I'm now catching the top left of the weave of the canvas. And I want to make sure it's a little thinner so I can lay it on top. And I'm just going to, and I'm putting this lightest color in the same direction that the sun would come from. So it's reinforcing the idea that the sun's coming from the left and the shadowing on the right. I'm going to pull this across each of these masses. And then I'll come back and reinforce that with a little darker. Now in this case, I'm putting on a little more paint and I'm pulling straight down. So the first one pushed up left, second one pulled this way. In this case, I'm pulling again, but it's going to be straight down, so I'm trying to get the least amount of mixing I can. I'm catching another side of this weave. And the last thing I'll do is I'll take this pure green, or the clear closest thing to pure green I've got, and right across this transition from the darkest dark to that yellowish dark, I'm going to dab in some of these purer greens. And notice how many trips I'm taking to the palette, and I'm just dabbing them across this transition where the yellowish thing hits that darkest black. And poof, I've got a green tree with mustard and with, and I've got a little too black, I'm just going to concentrate some of that. So it's push at least one or two different pulls and then dab across that edge and you've got your tree. The last thing I'll do is I'll come back and look for the shape of the foliage and make certain that I've got an interesting branch that'll go from one shape to the other. So in this case I need something that's going to let me see that. I'm going to need some branch that's going to come up to support all that foliage.